Good evening and welcome to Business Today. My name is Jerome Paul Sunko with Winnable Yins and Nakauchi on Sign Language. But first, a look at our top stories.
The government of Uganda asserts the progress in financial literacy and inclusion in Uganda. The Parliamentary Committee on ICT meets with different stakeholders to digest the Computer Misuse Amendment Bill 2022. Uganda signs a memorandum of understanding with Somalia to promote partnership between the two countries.
And now we start with the Computer Misuse Amendment Bill 2022, as the Parliamentary Committee on ICT has met with different stakeholders to digest the Computer Misuse Amendment Bill 2022, which was tabled by Honorable Nsereko Mohammed. This bill talks about different acts, which also include the Electronic Transaction Act and e-trade and how they can impact businesses. All right, now we'll be having this particular report later on. We start with financial inclusion. Meanwhile, Financial Inclusion and Literacy Forum that has happened today. The environment in which we live today has trends that make financial inclusion and financial literacy important, as consumers are in charge of their financial decisions and financial products are quite more complex than now. When you look at this particular one, with a decline in government aid subsidies, the Bank of Uganda has come up with a scheme to enhance financial inclusion through digital financial inclusion. Rona Nahawe has the details.
Among the findings from the survey conducted by Central Bank, it is revealed that people living in rural areas have better financial behavior than those living in urban areas. It is also revealed that 21% of Ugandans are able to save with a clear goal. The Deputy Governor of Bank of Uganda highlighted some of the key objectives of this Financial Inclusion and Financial Literacy Forum.
Inclusion through digital financial literacy adjoins the two pillars, while rightly recognizing the progressive role of digitalization in this changing environment. It has been said that through the fourth industrial revolution, what we call Industry 4.0, is not only about technology-driven change, but also an opportunity to help everyone, including leaders, policymakers, and people from all income groups and nations, to harness converging technologies to create. We leverage advancements in digitalization to kindle the demand for financial services by people at the very bottom of the pyramid, and thus increase access to and usage of quality and affordable financial products.
Financial institutions like Stanbic Bank have advocated for consumer guidance, better payment systems, and more financial service providers.
Should actually lead with financial literacy on all our segments. So before you give a loan, before you open an account, can you have a conversation around what your customers' view of their money that they're making, their saving, their investment, their plans for the future are, so that you're in sync with what they want. Done is that we've been able then to find that we solution for our customers better. So we need to embed financial literacy in everything that we're doing. This is not just on a personal basis, but even for business accounts.
Minister of Finance and Economic Planning, Honorable Matia Kasaija, applauded the Deputy Governor and mentioned that initiatives like these will increase taxes, which will in turn minimize the national debt.
You will be saving me from borrowing. I don't like borrowing, I can tell you that. But now I'm telling somewhere that I'm a chief borrower. I'm a chief borrower. I have to do that because the needs of the country cannot be financed with the resources that we have.
He also tasked the Deputy Governor to take such forums to the people at the grassroots, as the majority of the population resides there.
An economy where people don't understand money, they are living in the history. So we must understand what money is and what it's supposed to do. Stakeholder collectively identifying approaches to transform Uganda for the better. My request is that we shouldn't stop in Kampala. These kind of seminars up country where the majority of our people live. So next time, Mr. Governor, we should either go to Gulu, or Umbale, or Umbarara, or Kasese, or Kisoro, whichever one we would prefer to go to.
The Federation of Small and Medium Enterprises says the enterprises will be joining the digital services.
Find ways of how SMEs can be supported to access finance, and not just credit. We want them to access the diverse range of services. We want them to go digital so that they can be able to leverage digital payments. We want to be able to benefit from insurance products and services. We want to be able to benefit from saving products and services. We want them to be able to also access digital credit and other forms of financial services that are delivered through the digital sphere. So we think this is of paramount interest for the MSME sector.
The government of Uganda asserts the progress in financial literacy and inclusion. It continues to support projects like the Project for Financial Inclusion in Runana Habwe, Business Today, Smart 24 TV.
As the government has set aside 600 billion shillings for the renewal of national IDs, which starts in June next year. The government, through the National Identification and Registration Authority, began issuing national IDs in 2014, and the first batch expires in 2024 because each, like a passport, is valid for only 10 years. Naomi Mutumba reports.
National Identification and Registration Authority (NIRA) is set to change the national IDs that have been in use for several years. This will cost the government over 600 billion. Addressing the media, Minister of Internal Affairs Kahindo Tafire said the money is to be used to purchase high-tech machines that will make improved national IDs with a chip that can identify people's eyes and recognize their DNA.
Renewing our national identity cards, updating. Those who have, we are going to update. Those who don't have, we are going to provide new identity cards. So when the systems are up and running, you'll get your identity cards. Otherwise, you may have to wait a little bit until we start issuing the new identity card. Because the current identity card is got a lifespan of 10 years. And as you know, 2024 will be 10 years since the old mass enrollment exercise took place. So 2024 we shall migrate from the current national ID to a new, upgraded, and more user-friendly national identity card. I can assure you there will be improvements, including possibly DNA, possibly the iris, possibly there are other things that will come which are not in the current identity card.
The minister said the renewal process will be free and the registration centers would be extended to various parts of the country.
ID is free. Save that the national ID is free. Save that now we are introducing the express for those of you who have money. You know, you will be registered and it's free. But those of you who have money can access it online.
General Tafile also asked Ugandans to ensure that their children are registered at birth so that their details are captured in the national database. The NIRA board chairperson, Joseph Biriwona, revealed NIRA is intensively involved in raising awareness on birth and death registration rights in Uganda.
In the register and issue identification cards to nationals and aliens. One of the key roles of the authority is to register births and deaths, collectively known as civil registration. Birth and death registration is free but compulsory. NIRA currently offers civil registration services in 117 locations in 112 districts across the country.
Naomi Mtumba, Business Today, Smart 24.
The outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020 increased the use of digital space for online business. Amending this law will lead to infringement on other acts, as Kenneth Mahanji from KTA says.
Honourable members, we feel that this particular provision in the Electronic Transactions Act already speaks to unsolicited communication. And really, you can see that the justification behind this is one, I think the lawmakers at the time were alive to the fact that digital trade is something, is a mode of doing business that is now really becoming popular, or was becoming popular at the time. As I've just explained now, during COVID, we've seen that there's now an uptake of more businesses using online communication. So we feel that if this proposed clause remains as is, that will be contradicting another already existing law, and so we feel that the best way to remedy that is perhaps to either have this particular clause in line with Section 26 of the Electronic Transactions Act, or even to do away with it, since the Electronic Transactions Act already provides for unsolicited communication.
Looking at the Electronic Transaction Act, Honorable Igeme Nathan Nabita, the Vice Chairperson of the ICT Committee, showed concerns about businesses' use of the Electronic Transaction Act. Kenneth argues that the Act is beneficial.
Of it. Is it being used for transactions? Since you are now representing the Association of E-Traders, is the Electronic Transactions Act in play as far as business is concerned?
I think the biggest import of the Electronic Transactions Act has even been in court generally, because one of the key things it allows you to be able to have electronic record. And so that has been cited in many cases that are now precedent. Businesses also really understand. They also clear provisions like on consumer protection that provide things like you can cancel an order online, which is separate if you are buying something from a shop. And so, yes, I believe businesses are using it. I believe, again, also during COVID, now that law also had many people talking about it, specifically around those particular provisions.
Clause 5 of the bill deals with unsolicited information from persons, leaving a gap to the biggest culprits, companies. The culprits are to pay a 14 million shilling fine, which is less, according to Michael Kaboneka from Thomas and Michael Advocates.
Part about unsolicited information, where the bill says it's going to be an offense, and it says any person who violates that will pay 14 million shillings. Now, 14 million shillings, imagine this person is a company. You know, most cases we receive these unsolicited information, SMSs from companies, from insurance companies and what have you, and then they are not, the problem is now you want to find this 14 million. It is very meager and very small to a company because it won't deter it. People call you and say, I'm calling from this insurance company, and then ask them, where did you pick my number from? So it is very, that amount of money, yes, it is a reasonable fine and penalty for a person who is natural. But for non-natural persons who are companies, and the bill does not actually categorize and say, which persons are you talking about? Are you talking about the non-natural persons or the persons? Because we're going to have a problem. So that fine is okay for individuals who are natural persons, because then people will refrain from doing it. Yes, but for companies, I think something to do with, 20,000 USD, because it's a company. Then as a company, you need to know that you don't play around with people's telephone numbers and their information and their email addresses.
According to Honorable Igeme, the amendment of the Computer Misuse Amendment with different stakeholders is for the benefit of the business community.
Now we are trying to understand, we are listening to the stakeholders in the sector We have called them to tell us what they think about the Computer Misuse Amendment Bill. We want to understand whether it will impact business or positively or negatively. So for now, it's just consultations. We don't have any decision. We shall debate after we have interacted with all the stakeholders to look at that.
The proposed bill seeks to enhance the provisions on authorized access to information or data.
All right, now let's have a look at Uganda's tea exports. Uganda exported tea at $869 million, making it the 18th largest exporter of tea in the world and 5th exported product in the country. Honorable Gaffa Mbwatekamwa, a member of parliament in the Ijara constituency, has raised concern in the parliament about the rebranding of the Ugandan tea to Kenyan tea at the port. This and more with Samuel Kirimunda.
Tea producers choose direct exporters and delivery most output to Mombasa for occasion, where the commodity is re-exported as Kenyan tea for years. This has limited Uganda from earning a premium price on the commodity. The Parliament has called for a comprehensive report from the Minister of Trade to come and clarify the issue.
That is in Western Uganda, of which it is my constituency. So, Right Honorable Speaker, I've just come to find out that our tea we produce in Uganda for export, once it goes throughout our country, that is supposed to go through Mombasa and reaches Mombasa, our tea is then rebranded as Kenyan tea. So our tea has not reached international market even after adding value. Right Honorable Speaker and honorable members, we are losing a lot of money. Uganda is not known anywhere. And our ministers of trade, Right Honorable Speaker, they are ever here sleeping and they cannot even intervene, but they are interested in maybe rice. We need an immediate intervention. How I wish you can instruct either any of the committee to dig out the matter and find out the reasons to why our tea is being rebranded and sold as Kenya tea.
According to United Nations Comtrade database on the international market, Uganda's tea exports to Kenya vary based on the following report. In 2012, $72.5 million US. In 2013, $83.5 million US. In 2014, $83 million US. In 2015, $67 million US. In 2016, $70 million US. In 2016, $76.5 million US. In 2018, $86 million US. In 2019, $76 million US. In 2020, $76.5 million US. Said Deputy Prime Minister Honorable Rukia Isanga Nakadama advised members to mark their products while exporting to other countries.
Maybe something small. As members of parliament, as leaders, you need to educate our farmers that when you are taking your product out of the country or within the country still, please put labels. Let it be labeled so that that label identifies this is Uganda, this is Nakasongola, this is ginger. But the Minister of Trade is here, let him add. Thank you.
Said Deputy Prime Minister Rukia Isanga Nakadama allowed the Minister for Trade, Dante Han, to give his research on the rebrand of Uganda tea exports as he reviewed.
It is not true that all Ugandan tea is rebranded in Kenya and exported as Kenyan tea. There is a live example of Buhweju tea factory. The tea from that factory is exported to Britain and Egypt. That is on record. I visited Mombasa and I found the tea packed and ready for export. But it is also true that some of the tea from Uganda is branded in Kenya.
Samuel Kirimunda reporting for Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
All right, now let's look at Financial Inclusion and Literacy Forum. As the environment in which we live in today has trends that make financial inclusion and financial literacy important, consumers in charge of their financial decisions and financial products are more complex now than in the past. With a decline in government aid subsidies, the Bank of Uganda has come up with a scheme to enhance financial inclusion through digital financial inclusion.
Among the findings from the survey conducted by Central Bank, it is revealed that people living in rural areas have better financial behavior than those living in urban areas. It is also revealed that 21% of Ugandans are able to save with a clear goal. The Deputy Governor of Bank of Uganda highlighted some of the key objectives of this Financial Inclusion and Financial Literacy Forum.
Inclusion through digital financial literacy adjoins the two pillars, while rightly recognizing the progressive role of digitalization in this changing environment. It has been said that through the fourth industrial revolution.
To a commercial break, we return with more from Business Today.